Hello and welcome to the Path to Freedom podcast, a weekly podcast with the intention to inspire, empower, and uplift us all to develop a healing consciousness that we, that is you and me, may forever allow for greater and grander versions and expressions of who and what we are to emerge with ease, grace, and spiritual dignity. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and I am your host. Welcome to this week's episode of the Path to Freedom podcast. This weekly podcast about wholeness and about freedom and about spiritual awakening. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and if you have tuned in before, obviously I welcome you back. If not, if this is the very first time you join me here or join us here, I want to extend a special welcome to you. Today, this episode is about a sort of a standing theme in all these episodes is to come back to the nowness of this moment. That is the foundation of developing a healing consciousness. That is the foundation for spiritual awakening. That is the foundation for divine creativity, moving into vibrational alignment with the sacred laws. And so this moment is, we're going to turn our focus and attention a little bit extra to coming back to the nowness of this moment. The topic for today is disconnect to reconnect. Disconnect to reconnect. And we're going to be having a conversation about what we're disconnecting from, what we're reconnecting with, and also how, the hows of it. So welcome. It's going to be a beautiful episode. It's going to be an awesome episode. All episodes are awesome. I know. But anyway, it's going to be great. So I welcome you here and enjoy. As always, before we begin, let's have a moment of becoming still. Let's have a moment of disconnecting, thus reconnecting. So a moment of stillness, a moment of meditation. At the end of that meditation, we're going to have a moment of prayer, raising our vibration that we may, and clearing the filters off of our perceptions, that we may see and feel and know the truth, that which is true and real, so that we may release and let go that which is not true and real, that which no longer serves us. And so in this moment, I invite you to make yourself comfortable. I invite you to gently tap between your eyebrows, activating that first eye, that pineal gland, that we may see that which cannot be seen and hear that which cannot be heard, sense that which cannot be sensed. They're human senses. I also invite you to put a smile on your face. Even if you don't have anything to smile about, smile anyway. smiling informs the body that all is well. So the body releases tonic, empowering, strengthening hormones and chemicals, increasing the immune system, slowing down the aging process, and doing all kinds of good in the body. So I invite you to smile. Obviously, I invite you to close your eyes. And you may want to place your hands in your lap, having your thumbs and forefingers touch. And also, we want to enter into the meditation with the intention to wake up. My intention is always to wake up to who and what God is and my absolute oneness with it. But however you frame it or however you iterate it, we want to have the intention to wake up. And also, we want to remind ourselves that this is the very first time that we are meditating, as each moment is a new beginning. This expression of who and what we are has not ever meditated before. So this is the very first time. And so we want to activate that childlike nature, that curious nature. And guided and led by our breath, we move deeper and deeper into the stillness, allowing our attention to dwell upon our breath. We may feel and sense how the chest rises and falls, how the air flows in and out. Always keeping our attention on our breathing. Thus releasing and letting go of thought forms and thought patterns, and releasing and letting go of what happened just before this moment, or any thoughts of what might happen after this episode. So we come back to the nowness of this moment. I invite you to take on the feeling tone of being grateful, simply because you exist, simply because you're alive, you're awake, and you are aware. That right there is enough to overflow us with gratitude, thanksgiving, and appreciation. And should our thoughts drift, we gently and lovingly turn them back to our breathing. And we begin again. All is well. All is well. So peace, be still. In this moment, all is well. A little while longer. All is well. So peace, be still. And as I move into prayer, I invite you to remain still and silent. I invite you to remain with your eyes closed, still having that childlike nature activated, the curiosity, the openness, the availability, the receptiveness. And so in this moment, how grateful I am for this moment. How grateful I am for our ability that we get to disconnect, that we get to reconnect, that we get to come back to the nowness in this moment, for our willingness to become still. I'm so grateful for the peace that is in this moment, for the harmony that is in this moment. I'm so grateful for the love that is in this moment, for the wholeness that is here, the abundance that is here. And I'm so grateful for the community and the field that we together are creating, this field, this non-local field, this eternal field. So it's a field that is not bound by time or place, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I'm grateful for your participation in this. I'm grateful for your willingness to choose to tune into this, to choose to co-create this field, this space. I'm so grateful for this podcast and for this episode, for the technology that allows us to come together in this way at this time. I'm so grateful for my willingness to listen and obey that still small voice that forever speaks words of wisdom, guidance, and love within me, guiding and leading and moving me in a beautiful way. From this space of gratitude, I recognize the allness, the eternality, and the goodness of God. The allness, God is all there is, infinite, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, knows all there is to know, the only power there is. And the eternality, that God cannot change up on itself, it cannot contradict itself, cannot go against itself. It's the same yesterday as today as tomorrow. And the goodness of God. God is both the creator and the creation, forever for itself, forever sourcing and fueling and funding itself, thus all of creation, sustaining and maintaining itself, thus all of creation. And as I and God are one, it means that right here where I am, it is God. It is really, really, really God expressing Himself in essence to me. There is no me. There is no mind. There is no I. There is only Spirit expressing itself in essence through all of creation, in essence through me, in a beautiful and magnificent and wonderful and powerful way. So what this means is that right here where I am, and as this is true for me, I know that it is the truth for you and of you. That right here where we are divinely sustained and maintained, eternally sourced, fueled and funded, magnificently guided and moved and led. All of our needs are met. Everything we need to keep moving along the path of freedom, to keep moving along the path of wholeness, of awakening. All that we need, we have in the nowness of this moment. Truly, 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 all is well. I know it. I feel it. I know it. I feel it. All is well. So peace, be still. Peace, be still. Something wonderful is happening. As Spirit is eternally seeking to come into greater and greater expressions of itself. And Spirit does so in, through, and as all of creation. Therefore, in, through, and as you, and in, through, and as me. And so in each and every single moment, there's something new seeking to emerge. Something expanded seeking to emerge. So everything is working for our good. Everything is working for our good. And we are blessed to know and feel this. We are blessed to have been led onto this path of eternal bliss, of bringing heaven to earth. And full of gratitude, I release this word, fully surrendered to the word, saying, "Thy will be done," and knowing and feeling that it is done. That it is done. That it was done from the beginning of time. We are now witnessing the demonstration and the manifestation of that which was done from the beginning of time. And we are witnessing, and we are seeing the demonstration of it because of our willingness to surrender, because of our willingness to say, "Thy will be done," because of our willingness to be open and available and receptive to catch it. because of our willingness to make ourselves conduits through which it comes forth. And so all is well. I know it, I feel it, I accept it, I give thanks for it, I allow it to be. With gratitude and thanksgiving and appreciation, I say, so it is and so be it. Amen. So welcome back. You may open your eyes. And welcome back to the peace that is here in this moment, the joy that is here in this moment, the harmony that is here in this moment. And this is, like the topic for today is disconnect to reconnect. This is reconnecting. It is disconnecting from the lower vibrations and thought forms of the world, the fear, the worry and doubt, the anxiety, all the suggestions of bad and negativity and strife and struggle that we are so inundated with all throughout our days. And this is what we're disconnecting from, that we may reconnect with God, with Spirit, with the infinite peace and the infinite joy and the infinite love and the infinite harmony and the infinite wholeness that Spirit is. Of realizing, of having, we're reconnecting to have an inner realization and an inner encounter with the knowing and the feeling that all is well. We're, if you have been on this path for a while, perhaps you've heard of the law of attraction that states that we draw things into our sphere. But that's not really how it works. But what happens is that as we become in consciousness, as we take on the feeling tone of peace, or of love, or of wholeness, or of abundance, as we take on that feeling tone, as we raise our vibration to that level, to those frequencies, what happens is that we radiate out into the world whatever we are in consciousness. So if we want to experience more peace or more wholeness or more harmony or more abundance, we first need to be it. We first need to feel it. It will not come from the world. We may have temporary experiences of it, but unless we are it in consciousness, unless we are it in vibration, it will continue to elude us. And so it is so important that we, on a constant and regular basis, disconnect from the world of appearances, disconnect from the world of effects, disconnect from the negativity, from the seeming bad, that we may reconnect with this. These high, beautiful, wonderful vibrations. So we're disconnect. Another way of saying it is that we're disconnecting from the illusion of lack and separation. It's been a while since we talked about the ego, but the ego operates from the perception of I am not enough and I have not enough. And so what many people, many individuals are doing is that they're living their lives trying to fill that void within them. The void of not being enough, the void of not having enough, that perception. But by coming back to the nowness of this moment, as we come back, realize and we realize that whatever it is we're seeking, it's not out there. It's not to be found in the world, but we have it within. All of that which we're seeking, it's inherently within us as a feeling, as a potential. And as we become still and reconnect with that feeling tone, reconnect with that realization, it has to, by law, begin to demonstrate itself in our external experience. And so we want to, and that is my invitation to you, and that's my encouragement to you, that you find a way to remember. And that may be a challenge to remember. We need to remember that we are to come back to the nowness of this moment, that we are to disconnect, that we may reconnect, that we may make ourselves open and available to catch the guidance, to hear that still small voice and obey it, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, I don't remember. But it doesn't matter. We need to remember, and we need to do it on a constant and regular basis. That we are constantly grounded, one foot in the world and one foot in the eternal, one foot in time, past, present, future, and one foot in the eternal. We want to be anchored in the eternal. We want to be anchored in the nowness of this moment, even though we're moving around and moving about in the world, doing our thing out there. We don't want to get caught up with the identifications of form, as Eckhart Tolle would describe it, with thought forms and emotions and experiences. We don't want to get caught up in that, but we want to come back to the nowness of the moment, so that we may observe what is happening. Like we said in the meditate or the prayer, that I'm grateful to be alive, awake, and aware. We are not our emotions or thoughts or experience, but we are the awareness that experiences these, that observes these as they go on. And so we want to find and create a habit of coming back to the nowness of this moment, of disconnecting. And we've talked about before how we can use these moments in between to engage in spiritual practice. And the moment in between is a moment where we're not particularly doing anything that requires our conscious attention, or at least not our full conscious attention. So waiting in line, that's a moment in between. Doing dishes is a moment in between. Cooking can be a moment in between. Walking, sitting on the bus, even driving, as I think I've shared before, I do a lot of praying and meditating while I'm in my car driving. Obviously, I am not closing my eyes as I'm meditating. But just like in the meditation coming into this episode, just like meditation is about coming back to the nowness of it, of this moment, and we use our breath to come back to the nowness of this moment. And that's what I do when I'm driving. I turn my attention toward my breathing. I pay close attention to the chest rising and falling. I mean, I am still in the world. I am driving, and so far I've been doing this for months. And I'm still here, so I have not caused an accident. I've not gotten into an accident. But I'm perhaps even more alert when I'm meditating in my car than when I'm just idly daydreaming or when my thoughts just drift away. As when I'm sleep driving or sleepwalking. And so that's the moment in between. And if you just seek to find them, I bet that you'll find your days filled with these moments. And my encouragement to you is to use them to come back to the nowness of this moment. Now, disconnecting and reconnecting does not mean that you need to sit in meditation. There are infinite ways to disconnect and reconnect. Just giving thanks, coming back to gratitude. That's disconnecting and reconnecting. Blessing another, wishing someone well, sending them a thought of I'm just thinking about you, a loving thought. That's disconnecting and reconnecting. Praying, that's disconnecting and reconnecting. So we can engage in any number of spiritual practices. Doing forgiveness work. If you're sitting on a bus and you perhaps have 10 or 15 minutes, you can do some forgiveness work. That's reconnecting. All that we do that raises our vibration is coming back to that which is true and real. And I feel inclined to say that for some, drinking may temporarily raise their vibration, and that obviously, or taking drugs or whatever the case may be, that obviously is not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about anything. We're not talking about escaping anything. But we're talking about embracing and allowing everything, every thought form, every thought, every emotion that we have. We don't want to deny it. We don't want to suppress it. We don't want to repress it. But we want to embrace and allow it. Be with it. Observe it. Be aware of it. And that's another exercise that we can engage in. Simply observe, what am I thinking? Or simply observe, what am I saying? When I'm talking to people, what am I saying? That is another way of disconnecting and reconnecting. It expands our consciousness. It creates awareness that we may ultimately release and let go of that which no longer serves us. So there are many, 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 many ways of disconnecting and ultimately reconnecting. So actually, the moment we begin to reconnect, we are disconnected. So the disconnection is not, it doesn't have to be an active choice. We don't need to do anything to disconnect other than choose to reconnect. And in that reconnecting, we are disconnecting. And so Spirit tells me that we're going to have a mini break, a mini meditation. And what I invite you to do, we're going to be still and silent for a moment. And I invite you to call forth how you can, or how we can, because this obviously applies to me as well, how we can reconnect, how we can create a habit out of reconnecting. Starting now, from this moment on, how can we become more aware, more awake? How can we participate even more consciously in our awakening, in becoming more and more aware? So what action can we take to reconnect at a higher level? So I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and simply ask Spirit, simply ask that still small voice, how can I reconnect more? That's a beautiful question. How can I reconnect more? So we ask the question, we become still, open, available, receptive to catch the answer. And the answer will be revealed to us in a language and in a way that we can understand. So how can I reconnect more? How can I reconnect more? And it can be, welcome back, and you may open your eyes or have them closed, whatever feels comfortable to you. Spirit gave me another couple of examples of how to reconnect. When we're speaking to someone, when we're talking to someone, or more accurately, when we are listening to someone, that's a beautiful way of reconnecting. Because many people, when they listen, they aren't really listening, but they are so eager. If they're listening to someone is sharing something, and then they are so eager to share what they think, to share their piece of advice, to share their wisdom, that they are not really listening to the other. They are listening only half. only partly. And the other part is so preoccupied with trying to come up with what they're going to say next. As soon as the first person stops speaking, this is what I'm going to say. So, and so a beautiful way, and that is perhaps one of the greatest gifts we can give to another, to fully listen, to be fully present when we are listening, and using the breath, just like we did in the meditation. We turned our attention toward our breathing, using that while we're listening. That is a way of reconnecting. And at the same time, it's such a beautiful, healing, loving gift to give to someone. To be fully anchored in the nowness of this moment as we are listening. Not trying to think of what to say and how to sound smart and how to give the best advice and to share our wisdom and all that. No. Just listen. Become still and listen. Truly listen, not only to the words that the other individual is saying, but to what's underneath the words, the feeling. Giving them the space to just be. But to do that, we need to disconnect. And this time we're disconnecting from our intellectual mind, from our surface mind. It doesn't mean that we tell it to shut up or that we try to mute it or silence it. It simply means that we turn our attention elsewhere. So that's another way that we can reconnect when being fully present with another. And also, Spirit reminded me that even when we're watching TV or watching a movie or Netflix or whatever the case may be, that's also perfect opportunity to come back to the nowness of this moment. The perfect opportunity to become present with our breathing. While we're watching, like, all right, to illustrate, for a few short minutes, while I keep talking, I invite you to turn your attention back to your breathing. Become fully present with your breath. Sense the chest rising and falling, perhaps the air flowing in and out. Be fully present with your breathing while I'm talking. And you will notice that even as you are fully present with your breathing, you can still hear me talk. But what happens is that you break yourself free from any preoccupation with your mental structures. You anchor yourself, you ground yourself in the nowness of this moment, releasing and letting go of the identification with thoughts and opinions and judgments and perceptions and point of views. So just be with your breathing. And for some, this may be disconcerting, it may be uncomfortable. Perhaps you'll experience a restlessness. But that's all right. It's all about embracing and allowing, and as we embrace and allow, healing takes place. Healing takes place when we're not vesting our energy in trying to change something. When we're not giving our attention to trying to fix something or the wrongness of something. But when we simply embrace and allow, things begin to dissolve. That which no longer serves us. If we can observe without judgment, without opinion, things begin to dissolve. As we are reconnected, healing begins. Wholeness emerges. The wholeness that is there from the beginning, inherently intrinsic to all of our nature. Wholeness is who and what we are. So the more we strengthen our presence muscle, the more we get into the habit of coming back to the nowness of this moment, of reconnecting, the more wholeness will emerge. There is really nothing we need to do other than having an intention to wake up, or however you phrase it, or iterate it, or frame it, or describe it, or articulate it. We need the intention, and we need the willingness to do what is called upon us to do. And in this case, in this episode, we are speaking about coming back to the nowness of this moment, of I forgot the word, of reconnecting. That's it, of reconnecting. And then the third pillar of developing a healing consciousness is surrendering. So it's not up to us. We are not to make anything happen, but simply through our willingness to reconnect, of being present, of embracing and allowing, on observing, we give that which seeks to happen, the wholeness that is within us, we give that permission to flow through us, to emerge. It's a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing. And it is my strong invitation to you, if you are not already doing it, if you don't already have a habit of coming back to the nowness of this moment, of reconnecting on a constant and regular basis throughout your day. I'm not speaking of every week or once a month, but many times during the day, until we live at the higher level of being fully present. And then there's the next level, obviously. It's an eternal journey that we're on, so there's no final resting place. It only goes from one level to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Spirit, infinite, omnipresent, forever seeking to come into greater and grander expressions of itself. So there is not, we made it. There is no, I made it space or place. Yes, I made it here, but now it's time to go to the next level. So it's a beautiful practice. It's a beautiful process of reconnecting. And my experience is that the more I reconnect, the more I want to reconnect. So it's an upward spiral. And someone told me not too long ago, a number of years ago, that I'd be praying, that I'd be meditating, I would have laughed. Had someone told me perhaps a year ago, not even a year ago, 6 months ago, that I would be meditating and praying almost all day long, I would have laughed. And now it's all I want to do. It doesn't mean that there was a time, this is 10, 15 years ago, I don't know, but there was a time when I so strongly wanted to sort of go to Himalaya, to be with monks, to become a monk, and to sit in meditation all day and bliss and all that. And then I don't know if someone said it or if I realized it in some other way, but anyhow, I realized that this is life. Life is here. It's not in some monastery. And I'm not judging those who are called to go to monastery. I'm not judging those who feel compelled to become a monk. Not at all. Our paths are so different and unique and perfect. So if that's their path, I bless it. But that's not for me. But this is life. Having a wife, having kids, having a job, being in the world, and in the turbulence that is in the world. And still, I am becoming more and more and more peaceful and harmonious, almost by the day, it seems. I'm becoming more and more unmoved and untouched by the world. And it is solely because of my willingness to engage in these practices. Solely because of my willingness to reconnect. I think it was Eckhart Tolle, or I know it was Eckhart Tolle. This was many, many, many years ago, and probably a lot more people than him have said this, but he said that it is so much better to have mini breaks of coming back to the now. That's his term, or at least he used to be, of coming back to the now during the day for short periods than sitting in meditation for an hour once a day and not ever coming back to the now throughout the day. So as we dip in, as we tap into the nowness of this moment on a regular basis, and it can be as simple as just taking a deep breath. It can be as simple as just reminding myself, all is well, peace, be still. It can be as simple as saying, thank you, Spirit. That takes what? A second. But doing this on a regular basis, it breaks the habit of being disconnected. And it creates the habit of reconnecting. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't meditate. I don't want to use the word should at all. I'm not saying that we are not to meditate. I'm not saying that meditation is useless. I love it. I meditate every day. Every day. And I love it. It grounds me. It lifts my vibration in such a beautiful, powerful way. But these are in addition to meditation. Meditation is the foundation, and these are in addition. So all this to say that I invite you to find your own way, to find your own methods, to find your own tools, your own techniques. It doesn't matter at all how you get there, as long as you do get there. That's all that matters. They do get there. That you do get to the reconnecting. That you do get to the conscious raising of your vibration. That you do get to the conscious coming back to the nowness of this moment. I think Spirit just told me to shut up. Apparently we're done. I mean, I could go on, but Spirit has said all it wanted to say, all it needed to say. And so me going on would only be repeating. And I have been repeating myself, I know. But apparently that was the purpose, that was the intention. So I listen and I obey. Which means that the time has come for setting an intention for the upcoming week. So I invite you to once again become still. Perhaps take a couple of breaths, close your eyes, turn within and ask, what's my intention for the next 7 days? And welcome back. As always, and for those of you who are new, whenever we catch an insight or whenever we catch guidance, even when it seems illogical or out of reason, we need to realize that the guidance comes from Spirit. That still small voice that speaks not only in words and sounds, but as images or feeling tones or inner knowing or as sensations. When we catch such guidance and realizations, it is essential that we give it permission to move us into some kind of action, so that we constantly move along, so that we constantly expand, so that we constantly allow for greater and grander expressions, as I love to say, that we give these greater and grander expressions, that we become the conduits through which these greater and grander expressions emerge. So if you caught something, if you caught an intention for the next 7 days, my invitation, my strong invitation, is that you write it down, that you place it somewhere where you will look at it, where you will see it every day, preferably every day. And that you give it permission to move you into some kind of action, that you actually change, that you allow it to change you. All right. So, having said that, it is time for me to bless us out. So once again, I invite you to close your eyes, to make yourself comfortable. Become still, turn within. Make yourself open and available, receptive. And so in this moment, how grateful I am. How grateful I am for Spirit moving, guiding, and leading me, speaking through me, flowing through me. How I love to be a channel and a conduit for God to flow through. How I love that still small voice that is forever whispering words of wisdom and guidance in a way, in a language that I can understand, that I always understand. And I'm grateful I am for this episode, this time together that we've had. And as time is nothing but a human construct, it means that this moment is everlasting. So whenever you tune in, it is the now, and you're tuning into this field. And whenever you tune in, you help co-create this field. And for this, I'm grateful. For this, I'm thankful. For your participation, for your willingness to grow, to expand, to unfold, to love for the greater and grander to emerge, to obey the will of God, which is for you to forever expand. I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for this podcast, for this episode, the technology that allows us to connect in this way. And I'm so grateful for all of those who have walked before me, who are pointing the way or guiding the way, leading the way for me and all of us to follow. And I'm so grateful for my willingness to surrender and say, thy will be done. For knowing and feeling that all is well. For knowing and feeling that all is well. And right in the midst of us, right smack in the midst of each and every single of us, God is. In its allness, in its eternality, in its goodness. Spirit is right where we are. Forever sourcing and fueling and funding each of us. Guiding and leading. Sustaining, maintaining, because we and Spirit are one. You and I, a unique and perfect emanation of the Most High, of the Divine. And so in this moment, something wonderful has been set in motion. Each and every single moment is a fresh start, a new beginning. And this moment, or these moments, have been the starting point for a whole new expression of who and what we are. The trajectory of our lives has shifted. Because of our willingness to participate in this moment. Our lives will not ever quite be the same because of this moment. And at the back of us, Spirit stands and goes whoop, 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 rooting for us, cheering us on, supporting us, rejoicing in our progress, in our expansion. So something wonderful is happening right in this moment. And with such gratitude, and thanksgiving and appreciation, I release this word. And I surrender to the word, fully knowing and feeling that I need not hold on to anything. I need not hold on to anything. So I let it all go, saying, Thy will be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. And it is done. This word is a law unto itself. And it cannot return void. But it must return fulfilled of itself. So it is done. It is done. And the demonstrations will follow. They must follow. I know it, I feel it, I accept it, I give thanks for it, I allow it to be. All is well, peace be still. So it is, so be it. Amen. 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 Thank you once again for tuning in, for participating, for joining me, for helping to make this into what it is. Until the next time, until the next moment that we get to reconnect and connect, I bless your day and I bless your way. Namaste. You have been listening to an episode of the Path to Freedom podcast with me, Daniel Roqueo. I invite you to stay tuned for more episodes. If you have any questions or comments or just want to get more inspiration and empowerment, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I also invite you to visit my website, danielroqueo.com. I bless your day and I bless your way, you beautiful, wonderful being.